Hi, my name is Emily Tara, and I'm here from the Lantern at Ohio State with Writers Talk. And today we're talking to Michael Hoffer about technology at Ohio State and the Digital First Initiative. Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So first of all, what is the Digital First Initiative?
So Digital First Initiative is something that started about, almost a year ago, and that really we made public about 3 months ago. It started with a trip to Apple's headquarters in Cupertino. When I first got here to Ohio State, iPads were still new, and what are these things and how are they going to affect education? And we took a group of senior leadership and faculty out to Apple to sort of understand what their vision for education was. We came back with a lot of momentum, and we put together a Digital First program. So the tagline for Digital First is enriching teaching, learning, and research. And that means a lot of things. And most importantly, though, it means how are we enhancing our teaching and learning to make an exceptional student experience?
Okay, so did you get to go to the Apple headquarters?
Yes.
What was that like?
So it's really cool, obviously, right? And very secretive as well. So you get bussed in and you go to one room and you're only allowed to stay in that one room and then they bus you out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so why Apple?
So we know that students are coming with Apple in droves. In fact, just yesterday, we looked at a snapshot of our network traffic, and there were 10,000 devices connected to a portion of our network, and over 65% of them were Apple. So, and that includes iPhones and iPods and iPads and computers and all the things that Apple makes now. And we feel that Apple's making a huge investment in K through 12 as well, as more and more school districts move to digital textbooks. So we really want to be out in front of this thing when those students start to show up here in the next 2 to 4 years.
Okay, so what is you're working with Apple? How is that going to impact Ohio State and our computer labs? And are we going to be switching completely over to the Mac?
No, so, you really probably won't see that much difference. We still think there's a need for both Windows and Apple. In fact, we work with Google too, and we work with Microsoft, and we work with Dell and all the other folks as well. Apple is just a little bit more committed to how we're changing and transforming higher education. So in our computer labs, I think what you'll see is more of a 50-50 split, where before we may have had all Windows and a couple Macs. I think we're ready to look at, when we create space, as a more equal distribution of Apple versus Windows. In terms of education, I think you'll see more things, and you will see more things online through things like iTunes U or courses specifically developed for an iPad.
Okay, cool. So with that and all the changes, how is that implementing cost for Ohio State?
So costs on, I just want to clarify, costs on what level?
Like, is it costing Ohio State more to bring in these new products and these new computers?
So no. So our costs are actually remain the same. And in fact, through restructuring and, better budget management and working with our vendors more stringently, we've actually been able to improve 3 or 4 spaces on campus this summer with no additional funds, with just repurposing money. We hope, our goal is to reduce the cost of an education to our students. I'll give you a great example. Chemistry textbook, brand new, everybody has to take Gen Chem, right? Or one of the chemistry courses, is $220 over in the bookstore. The digital version on the iPad's $94.
Okay, so big difference.
Big difference, right? You still have to buy the iPad, right? And that costs between $400 and $600 depending on which one you buy.
Can you only get the digital book on the iPad or
no,
any
on
tablet
any
device?
e-reader or any of your computer as well. But we also talk about things that students haven't thought about where we could add value. So if you have a course that you need to buy a graphing calculator for, do you buy the $75 graphing calculator or the $2 app on your iPad, or a clicker, right? A lot of classes require you to have a clicker device. Do you spend the $35 for the clicker, or do you spend the $3 for the iPad version of that? Okay. So we really are trying to show value, and while the cost of the iPad we know is expensive, we think that there's value to the student over the course of their career here at Ohio State.
Are there student discounts if a student were to go
There
take
are.
their ID?
So if you go to Wired Out, which is the campus computer store, or the Wexner Center, which sells Apple products as well, you could get Apple products on this campus cheaper than anywhere in the country.
Okay.
So anywhere from a 2 to 12% discount, depending on the product.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so switching gears from prices and everything to actually in the classroom. So you talked about clickers and things like that. So how else are you trying to implement more technology into the classroom?
One of the big things we've been focusing on is the idea of the flipped classroom, where instead of going into class and you sitting there and a faculty member is lecturing to you for an hour and a half, which we know you don't like
Right.
as students, and I'm saying you as a student, we are working with faculty to put those lecture materials online at the short modules, 3 to 5 minute videos, and then you watch those videos outside of class. And then the hands-on stuff, the homework that you were doing outside, where you want to have collaboration with your peers, you want to have collaboration with the faculty member, you're doing that in the classroom.
Okay.
Or you're doing experiential learning or gaming in the classroom, where you're not just sitting there as a passive learner, you're actually participating in your learning.
Okay, so have you seen a lot of teachers pick this up and start doing it?
We have seen a tremendous amount of demand. In fact, more so than we know what to do with at this point. In the 2 months that we've started Digital First, we've had close to 200 faculty contacts, meaning 200 individual faculty members have come to us with some sort of question around Digital First. We have, right now, I believe 7 courses on iTunes U, which is new, and implement this flipped classroom model, and we only expect that to grow.
Okay, so what about the teachers that maybe aren't so tech savvy but want to try to do this? Do you guys provide support or maybe classes for them?
We have seminars that run continually throughout the month, and they can find those on the Digital Union website and the Digital First website. They're on both places. We have boot camps, a series of 4 boot camps that we're running over the course of the year, where boot camp will take 12 to 15 faculty members to a Apple headquarters in Chicago, or an Apple headquarters in Cupertino, or a Dell or a Google, whoever else wants to play with us, and help them develop materials for their course. We also have about 9 individuals right now. We're bringing some more folks on that you can request a consult with, and as a faculty member, they'll come to you or you come to them, and we'll figure out how to integrate technology into your teaching and learning.
Okay, cool. So how about the difference between maybe using this in a science classroom or an English classroom?
Right, so there's so many differences, and I think in the sciences we have so many different requirements and so many things that they have to do with labs and wet labs, and we're looking at how we take those lab experiments and those handouts and put them online. In writing and in English, and especially we're making some inroads with Scott DeWitt and his creative writing series and how that material is delivered. So I don't know if the iPad changes the writing process, or the online changes the writing process. I think it allows you to collaborate more, but I also think it gives you as a student the ability to publish your work. So when we teach things like copyright and Creative Commons, we're actually giving you an avenue where you have to apply that. So you don't learn about Creative Commons through reading about it. You don't learn about copyright by reading about it. You learn about it by doing it and publishing your work online.
So where are you thinking that students will be publishing?
So I think we have 2 options, either to iTunes or to a Google platform.
Okay.
iTunes U.
Okay, cool. So how do you first of all, how did this get out to teachers? Was there like a mass email, or was there like several meetings, or?
Yeah, we did a lot of work with faculty to sort of get their opinion on where they wanted to go with this. We did a lot of work with students. We have a student advisory group as well. And then we formed a university advisory team that's made up of university leadership at the provost and vice provost and CFO level. We formed an advisory team that's made up of administrative leadership, so like some people from athletics, some people from student life, some people from the chief information officer's office. Then we made up our faculty community and our student community, and we brought them all together and said, hey, this is what we're thinking. This is what the data shows, that, we think a lot of students are coming with more and more mobile devices. and we need to deliver education to that mobile learner in that mobile world.
Okay.
And so we did a lot of announcements. We did a video series, we did a press release, we did the whole gamut of, how you announce an initiative at Ohio State.
So now we know that the teachers know and that they're interested. So what are you hearing from the students that are actually getting to take part in this? Are they liking it, or is it overwhelming?
Yeah, so was it last weekend? No, the weekend before, we were featured on ESPN's Game Day, our chemistry course, and there's about 600 students in there. And overwhelmingly, as one example, they were really, really excited about this. When you see the video from that, and it's on our Digital First website, there's about 300 students in McPherson, and I'd say 95% of them have their laptop, they have it open, they're responding to questions that the faculty member is putting up on this screen through their device, and whether it's their laptop, their iPad, or their iPhone, or their Android, doesn't matter, right? The faculty member is in the audience teaching from his iPad, right? So he's sitting down with students and saying, "You don't understand this combustion on working through things with individual groups, which is really hard in a team of 300 or a group of 300." So far it's been positive. I think we have a lot of work to do with students, though. I think there's a gap where students are consumers of technology and they know how to use these devices to consume technology, but they don't necessarily know how to use them for educational purposes. And we have a program that we're working on right now, which will be the next part of our press releases and promotions, that are student-created pieces for other students to say, "Oh, that's what I could do with something like Evernote. Oh, that's why I should get a digital textbook." Oh, that, so to start to help the rest of the student population say, "Oh, I get it now."
So what would you say to people that are still kind of anti-technology? They like their books, they, like their blackboard, they paper and pencil. Is there a way to implement both of them, or do you feel that it's really beneficial just to go digital?
I think we have both. And somewhere like Ohio State, we have such a wide range of people. But I say to them, and I say this all the time, I say, close your eyes and envision that we are in 2017, and that the freshmen we have today are graduating and the newest freshman class is arriving. Do you think they come with less technology than today or more? And everyone says more.
Right.
And so if they're going to say more and students are going to come with more, we have to be ready today for tomorrow. We can't continue to catch up or be on the same cycle as students. We have to try to be ahead.
So how are you going to do that? Going forward from today, how do you guys envision this morphing and changing, since it is so new and it was just born a year ago, and like you said, 3 months ago it came out to the public. So how do you envision this continuing to change?
I think it's also new. I think one of the things we learned when we went out to Apple is, 90% of the money they make are from things that weren't invented 5 years ago. So when we think about iPhone as such a commonplace device, we talk about iPads as we've always had them. We haven't. We haven't only had them for a couple years, actually. So I really think that it's being out in front of the wave instead of behind it. And how we do it, I think it's more resources. We have a commitment from the provost and the president that this is the direction we need to go, and Ohio State needs to be a leader in this. And I think we need to prepare our students for a workforce that's going to expect this. So if you're a nurse and you're here learning about nursing and you're going through our world-class nursing program, and you've never touched a mobile device, and you get to the hospital and everything's on an iPad, you're not prepared the way you should be. And it's our job to prepare you guys for the future. Okay.
Well, great. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. This has been Emily Tarr from The Lantern on Writers Talk. Keep writing.